and my title, Breaking Free from the Chains of Comparison, was decided upon and even talked about long before George Floyd's death, which has sparked our current events, not only nationally, but globally. And then this morning I woke up and I thought, oh my gosh, and with chills right now, I say, we're talking about breaking chains of comparison. And it is from the place of comparison that we act in ways that are exclusive versus inclusive, where we're looking at people's color of skin, but we're looking at their homes and their cars and their professional success and all of these things. And it just really hit me. So without further ado, I just want to dive right in and share that this has an expanded meaning for me, for sure. And I want to start with this quote. It says, "You'd never be jealous of someone if you knew who you were. You would never want someone else's gifts if you knew why you were alive." When I first heard that, it just took my breath away. Literally, I'm going to say it again. You'd never be jealous of someone if you knew who you were. You would never want someone else's gifts if you knew why you were alive. In a lot of respects, that's my work, is really working with people on growing deep roots of authentic identity so that they're more comfortable and confident in their own skin, so that they can step more into their purpose and their potential, into who they were uniquely created to be. And so today we are talking about comparison. And what I know to be true is in the marketplace, we think about differentiation. And differentiation is good because that's about building your brand and communicating your unique value and your skills and your talents and your abilities, because each of you and me are uniquely savvy. There is nobody else like you. You are unique with your own skills and talents and abilities, personality and passions, and experiences, both positive and negative, that uniquely shape you to bring your gifts and to be exactly who you are in the world. The problem is that comparison gets in our way. I like to say comparison erodes at our identity. It erodes and it steals and it tries to destroy our unique purpose. And so today, my highest goal is just to have an honest conversation to help give you a new framework and some steps to breaking the chains of comparison that might be keeping you immobilized like it does many. Now, if we were to be honest, how many of you would say that you've struggled with comparison? Anyone? Or is it just me? Okay, thank you. Thanks, ladies. Yeah, I mean, especially as women, let's be honest. You know, she's a better speaker. She was the keynote. I love the car she drives. Why can't I be like her? She's more popular. She's so put together. All of those things get in the way, but here's step number one is we need to be honest. If we want to break the chains of comparison and be who you are uniquely created to be, you have to be honest. Every lasting and sustainable change starts with honesty. Now, I want to share a vulnerable story with you. It was back in 2011 when a friend of mine and a good colleague was having great success in her business. And I was going through a rough time. My dad had just died, and there was just really special things that were going on for her. And I remember saying, why can't I have that? Kind of ugly, huh? Why can't I have that? And why does she get to have that? At this point, I had Been in business for 11 years. Today I'm in my business 20 years, but at that point it was 11 years and I just was wanting. And I didn't do a self-check. So that went on for a few days. And it got to where that jealousy kind of turned to that yucky tension, yucky feeling that kind of started feeling a little bitter. Yeah. And so I caught myself about day 3 or 4 and I said, wait a minute, she's worthy of celebration. She is doing a good thing. She's worked hard for this. And it's my job to do my inner game work. It's my job to do my inner game work. So in step 2, it's about staying curious and being a student of yourself and of others. In this moment, I want you to consider what's missing in your life. What would bring you greater fulfillment if you had this in your professional life or in your personal life? Right? That's what I had to ask myself. And by the way, when I was starting to ask myself those questions, I also then began to look at how others were engaging with me, right? Are they inclusive or are they exclusive? Are they reciprocal or are they mutual, right? So I was a student of myself and stayed curious, and I was also a student of other people. I want to share with you that another personal story. I had a great girlfriend for a long time, and she knew my personal story. And Tammy, I read your bio last night, so thank you for your story, even though I didn't hear it. I have some awareness, and I hold that space, and I celebrate you for your healing. I know what it takes to overcome domestic violence and sexual abuse and and for me, poverty. And by the way, I came into this world not through consent. So I was always destined to fail. And I had just the world stacked against me. And this friend knew that. We were friends for a very long time and had meaningful friendship. But for a couple of years, I really sensed she was excluding me. And, she started to treat me a certain way. And I finally got some courage. It took me like 2 years. But I said, can we have an honest conversation? And she said, yes. And I said, I think that you have a really hard time celebrating who I am, even though you know how much I've overcome and how much I'm still progressing. Is that accurate? Is there any truth in that? And she said, if I was to be honest, Kim, yes, I have a hard time because I want some of what you have. I want to have more confidence. I want to have more freedom with the way that I engage with people, even though I was still struggling with those things. So I said, thank you. And I also feel that if I had something bad happen to me, then you're kind of happy about that too. Is that accurate? And she said, yes. Ladies, she said yes, which was a beautiful thing. And so we had an opportunity to have a good conversation about comparison and about celebrating who you are and where you are and what you've overcome. And there's room for both of us in that equation. So that could be a beautiful outcome. Step number 3 is about leading with your unique genius, your unique skills, talents, and strengths. So in this step, I invite you to mine your truth, like dig for the truth of your story, right? Dig for it, champion it. To champion means to advocate for, right? So I say, mine your truth so you can own your truth, so you can speak your truth and engage in your truth and dress your truth and live your truth and live your unique genius out loud in a clear, focused, and powerful way. That's the gift and the opportunity of sitting in this space, and rather than comparing, you get to say, hey, what's good and wonderful about me too? And step number 4, I say stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. You have to stay in your lane. Keep your eye on the prize. Do not turn to the left. Do not turn to the right. What your goals are different than other people's goals. How you're going to get there is different than the gal next door. Stay in your lane. Now, I have a story that I want to share with you. Back at the Olympics in 2012, Michael Phelps had won 8 gold medals, and he was slated to be the winner for, I think it was the butterfly. And I watched him because he is a masterful athlete. He has really mastered his mindset. And so I saw him, and he was going, and he was going, and he was going. And wouldn't you know it, he lost that gold to a silver by 5/100ths of a second. 5/100ths of a second. And I thought, I've got to know why, what happened? So I watched the interview, and what he said was, I looked at my competitor in his lane. I looked over at my competitor in his lane, and it cost him the gold. What is it costing you to look in somebody else's lane and compare you to that person? Is it costing you your joy, your sense of meaning and fulfillment, your sense of satisfaction? On the other hand, sometimes comparison sometimes causes pain and body aches and other physical conditions, right? Stay in your lane. Number 5, create boundaries. Create boundaries. So I co-authored this book. If you can see, it's called The Incredible Life. Top experts reveal how to create yours. And my chapter is Fear to Freedom. And I talk about fear to freedom to forgive, fear to freedom to love and be loved, and fear to freedom to be your authentic self. And that's what this is about. So I'm going to read to you about boundaries. I say get rid of toxic relationships and set healthy boundaries. Boundaries are designed to keep love in, not out, and they help with forgiveness. Consider what healthy behavior looks like and feels like ahead of time, so you know when someone, a group, or an organization is toxic. Look at your relationships. Are they rich with mutual respect and honesty and reciprocity? Is the relationship built on trust? You may currently have toxic relationships that require evaluation in your journey toward personal freedom from comparison. Be aware that as you choose healthy boundaries, the nature of some relationships is likely to change or even cease. Keep steady. Eventually, choosing healthier relationships from the onset will become your new normal. So create healthy boundaries. Number 6, create versus covet. If you want to break the chains of comparison in your life, create the life you want. Create the style you want. Create the body you want, right? Whatever it is that you're coveting of another person. If it's, the car that you love, save your money for the car. If you appreciate that person's confidence or their resilience, then go ahead and invest in yourself to grow those deep roots of authentic identity and do that inner game work, right? If you want the clothes, or if you want, the muscles, I see people who have great fit physiques and I'm like, oh, I want that. But guess what? I'm not willing to do the work for it. I see some folks laughing, Brenda, yes. But I'm not willing to do the work for it. So don't compare, don't exclude that person, don't talk about that person, but just go and create it or choose to remain where you are. And either way, that's fine, but don't compare and put somebody else in the prison because you're still struggling in that area. Number 7 is prioritize your healing. And this is the most important. This is the most important. And I say, if not now, when? If not now during this global pandemic, when the whole world is shut down, when we are trying to care for our bodies and be physically safe from coronavirus, when we have tensions from the economic situation and food insecurities, and now with the protests and fighting for justice for Black Lives Matter and all people of color. If not now, when? When will we ever have an opportunity where we are pressed and prodded and poked to know who we really are, to understand the work that we need to do so that we can do that healing work? I have chills to say that. Why? Because ladies, I believe that we are empowered, that we grow authentic identity and deep roots of sustainable confidence when we do our work. And it's from that place we're empowered to turn around and be the catalyst for other women and men in our families, in our communities, in the nation and the world around us. But really it starts with us. So 7 is prioritize your healing. Now I want to share with you this. I am an advocate about mindset work because everything begins with your mindset. The way you treat yourself is a reflection of your belief system. The way you treat others is a reflection of your belief system. The way you consider a situation is a reflection of your belief system. Frank Outlaw says it best with this poem I'm going to share with you. Watch your thoughts, for they become your words. Watch your words, for they become your actions. Watch your actions, for they become your habits. Watch your habits, for they become your character. Watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. And ladies, we are empowered to watch our thoughts so that from a healthy mindset, we can begin to break the chains of comparison and move us into next steps of breaking free into the personal freedom and the purpose and a life of meaning that we all so desperately want. So let me leave you with this. May you reach deep for courage. Courage to stop comparing and start celebrating. Celebrating you and celebrating and seeing the light of all the women around you. And may you reach deep for courage and reclaim the power and the purpose and the identity, because you are uniquely savvy.